Well, let's begin with New Jersey, where the liberal, newly elected governor, Mikie Sherrill, admits, yes, we found 6,600 non-citizens registered to vote. It was a mistake made at their registry.
The Division of Elections is working to ensure anyone who is illegally registered is removed from the voter rolls. Initial analysis shows that fewer than 400 newly registered individuals voted in an election due to this software error. They were registered as Democrats, Republicans, and the majority unaffiliated, and were scattered across the state. But let me be clear. This entire situation is unacceptable.
She said this happened before I got in. She's blaming her president, her predecessor down there, Governor Murphy, another Democrat who just left. In the meantime, let's do the travel on this. She says it happened at the registry in New Jersey, and she's blaming the software system provided by a company called IDEMIA. They screwed up in transmitting the information over to the Board of Elections. Now, that company is shooting back and saying, wait a minute, we didn't screw up. We're just the conveyance. We just moved the information point A to point B. Your Board of Elections screwed up. All right, Governor, where do we go from here?
What are you open to considering for new guardrails, and could that include any additional requirements on voters when they show up at their polling places?
I think we're open to suggestions that make our elections more safe. And so that's part of what this investigation, they'll have findings on just what occurred. And we will be looking carefully at what we can do to make sure it doesn't occur again. We are working very hard on ways in which we can protect people here in the state of New Jersey.
In terms of protecting them, does that mean that you won't release their information to the feds or anyone else if it's requested?
We are not in the practice of releasing personally identifying information to the federal government right now, given that the Trump administration continues to weaponize it against people.
Okay, she's talking about the voter rolls the Justice Department has demanded. Rhode Island wouldn't turn them over. They said states run the elections, not the federal government. They prevailed in court. The case was tossed out. It's on appeal. By the way, IDEMIA, the software system in New Jersey that's being blamed for this, we use the same system in Rhode Island. I got Bud Craddock, our registrar, over at the Rhode Island DMV on the phone earlier today on the radio. Bud, can this happen here?
This IDEMIA, this software, the computer system, do we use the same one?
Yes, we do.
All right. How can you assure us that what happened in New Jersey is not happening here in Rhode Island?
I don't know the root cause of how it occurred in New Jersey, Gene, but I do know that the way our system is set up, that there's a hard stop, that we don't transmit any information if a person is a non-citizen. We also work with Secretary of States, and we audit it every other month to make sure that the proper information is being transmitted.
Why would non-citizens be involved in the Rhode Island registry? Because we give non-citizens driver privilege cards here. That's what the legislature passed. Don't blame the registry for this. Bud executes what the lawmakers tell him, and they told him, you're going to give driver privilege cards, which look exactly like Rhode Island licenses, to non-citizens. Illegal aliens who are here, living here, give them, for all intents and purposes, what looks like a driver's license, but don't register them. And Bud says our system is safe when it comes to that. But just go over this again. How does this process work from point A to point B here in Rhode Island?
What happens is if they still have to have certain documentation, proof of who they are. Okay. So once they're presenting that information, if it shows that they are not a citizen, then they're not even asked the question, do you want to register to vote? It's a hard stop. The way our system is programmed, that question does not even get asked.
Okay. And IDEMIA, is it a conveyance for us? But it's a closed system within the building. We don't transmit anywhere.
IDEMIA actually is the company that produces the license. They're the ones that make the card itself.
Okay.
But they also serve as a facilitator, and they will transmit the information to the Secretary of State's office.
All right.
So they work with both us and the Secretary of State's office.
So when they transmit information from you to the Secretary of State, what kind of information is that? Is that for a citizen?
Yes.
Okay. So that's for a legit citizen to vote IDEMIA does transfer that. Is there any way that a mistake could be made in the transmission process like it was made in New Jersey?
Not to my knowledge, Gene. Again, we audit it on a regular basis just to make sure that there are no mistakes. And again, at the DMV, it is a definite hard stop. They don't get asked the question at all.
Okay, so Bud says you have safeguards in place. Whatever happened in New Jersey, he's telling us it's probably not going to happen here, and that he audits it, and that's it. Now, we certainly want to hear from the Secretary of State because he gets information from the registry. And hold a news conference, Mr. Secretary, and tell us that the system is safe. Be proactive. Get ahead of this. Because right now, Donald Trump, if he wants a post on Truth Social, I told you so, he's within his rights, isn't he? Within just a week and a half ago, he told us he counted 300,000 non-citizens on voter rolls in several states, and that's only based on information on the states who would give him the information and cooperate. Rhode Island won't. So let's have a news conference here. I'm glad Bud Craddock came on the radio and told us it's probably not going to happen with us. But let's have a news conference to assure us that this is going to happen here. Now, the Secretary of State, he's no fan of Donald Trump when it comes to this stuff. He said all this stuff about illegals voting, not happening, Gene. Not happening, and the president's just trying to bully us with more of this bluster. This is the secretary on TV and the radio with me not that long ago. Now the president has come and said only citizens can vote, and if you allow a non-citizen to vote, you would be the point person here. Go lock you up, and maybe lock up local officials who are poll watchers.
If they knowingly allow a non-citizen.
Here's the thing, that plays well with a lot of people. They say, go ahead.
I'm sure. I'm sure. And look, if an elections official knowingly allows a non-citizen to register a vote, they should be prosecuted. What I'm saying is that the Rhode Island Department of State, the Board of Elections, follows all federal and state law, and we have a very intense process in reviewing the voter registration list.
Well, good. That's great. By the way, the post office may not deliver mail-in ballots for non-citizens. Now, Amori said that's illegal, right? But that was before the appeals court in Washington ruled in favor of the Trump administration and the post office, which may hold off on delivering mail-in ballots that haven't been proven to be from a citizen. That's still pending because there's another district court involved in this, but we'll see what comes on with that. That is all still pending, and if that comes to pass, if the post office is going to demand proof of citizenship before we deliver a mail-in ballot or even accept them at the post office, that's going to put a monkey wrench in a lot of candidate campaigns around here. All right, one more thing, Mr. Secretary. There's a lot of questions about election integrity. We're asking our viewers today, do you have faith in the system? State Representative Enrique Sanchez, a sitting Democrat state rep, posted on Twitter that he's pushing hundreds of mail-in ballots in his district in Providence for David Morales. What about that, Mr. Secretary? That doesn't sound right. Mr. Secretary, it hints at abuse. Go and put it up again. Now,
you'd have to talk to Enrique Sanchez.
Have you spoken to him? You're the Secretary of State. You should call him and say, what do you mean by this? This hurts you and your party's integrity. Put it up again. I want to read it.
I disagree with that.
What you disagree with what?
That it hurts me and my integrity and my party's integrity. This is an individual who's making a statement.
It's a sitting Democrat state representative.
The president is the sitting president. He makes ridiculous statements every single day, not based in fact, not based in Constitution, not based in law.
Is this equivalency now? Let's deal with one ridiculous thing at a time. How's that?
Let's deal with me. All right. I don't believe that's an accurate statement. I don't know what he means by saying it. I've just outlined the process for you.
Okay.
I would say that about any politician, Democrat, Republican, or Independent.
Why didn't you call him and say, Enrique, what do you mean by this? You pushing ballots? You should be concerned about that.
We have a lot on our plate. We're not calling individual legislators. There's 75 members of the House. I don't look at all their tweets. I don't know what they're all saying. That's not an accurate statement because there's no way to push a mail ballot.
And you're not concerned that he put that out there, or that there may be abuse here?
I mean, if I'm going to monitor everybody's Twitter feed or X feed, then I have no time for the rest of my job. Well, your office
called my radio station and wanted to know about it. You must be some concern.
Because we didn't see it. You told us.
Okay.
You told us.
So
I'm not monitoring Enrique Sanchez's social media.
You don't care what he's doing? You don't think that's an abuse?
I care what he's doing as long as he's not breaking the law. That's a ridiculous statement, but that's not breaking the law.
Enrique's ridiculous statement. Okay, class, let's recap. Donald Trump says I count 300,000 non-citizens on voter rolls in the states that gave us the information. Only a handful gave us. Rhode Island, Connecticut, Mass won't give it to us. New Jersey says 6,600 illegals, non-citizens, were on the voter rolls. 400 voted. And the Secretary of State says, not here. not here. The registry says it probably is not going to happen here. We audit it. We have a different system, a closed system. But he shows no inclination to call up State Representative Enrique Sanchez and just ask him, what do you mean by that? You're pushing mail-in ballots. What do you mean by that?